Tech Talk Tuesday. Tech Talk Tuesday. Tech Talk Tuesday. You mean Thursday.
Yeah, I know it's Friday. Cut me some slack, man. Welcome to another 10-minute Tech Talk Thursday with Michael Weir, your Fortinet NSE 7 certified technical account manager for Fortinet from Ingram Micro. Today's topic is going to be a timely one. It is UEBA, User and Entity Behavior Analytics. Question, so who is doing what, when, and how? This is what UEBA answers. So what can happen? Why do we need to know this? Millions of dollars after leaked records fell into the hands of... In other words, somebody could be fined millions of dollars, somebody could lose millions of dollars. There's millions of dollars at stake with this problem, which is unintelligent or malicious transfers of data exposing businesses to loss and liability. And generally speaking, PII here or anything else that's not supposed to be public. And the solution is, well, I should say one of the solutions is user and entity behavior analytics. Now I emphasize that and put in the one and roll back there because it's important to note there is no one silver bullet for any problem. It's about having as many layers of protection as you can to make sure that nothing happens. So let's talk about some things that have happened here. So this is the last 5 years. And you'll notice there's not a whole lot of pattern to this data, but we have data breaches, not including ransomware, millions of records exposed, not including ransomware. And we got millions of ransomed incidents, which is, of course, including ransomware. And you look across here, there's not exactly huge trends here. Obviously, 2016 was a big year for ransomware. 2018 had the record for millions of records exposed. 2017 had the highest number of data breaches. But my point in putting these up here isn't for people to try to find patterns in the noise. My point in putting them up here is to say that's a lot. Right, that's 638 million ransomed incidents. That's no, I'm not good at math. You know what? You can read this thing for yourselves. It's a lot. Now, why now? There's a couple of things going on right now that make this more important than ever to avoid these breaches and track your data. 30 states have implemented new cybersecurity and/or electronic data privacy laws since January 2019. 6 states explicitly spell out standards of breach prevention and consequences if there is a breach. These are usually monetary consequences. And then 3 states have laws specifically targeting who can handle private or personal information. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about all 30 states because that would be ridiculously boring. But I will talk about 2 of the biggest ones. One is California's CPPA, and the other is New York's Shielded Act. So the California CPPA, the important thing to know about that isn't that it requires a ton of privacy, because it does. It's pretty much the same as GDPR, but that it's based on where the user is, not where the business is. So you could have a business in New York, but if you have a customer or someone that creates a username password combination from California, then CPPA applies to that person. So your choices are either track your data better or have some kind of geo-based diversionary solution, which would probably be more expensive than just tracking your own data. And then the second one is the New York Shield Act. This sets forth a lot of requirements regarding secure collection, access, storage, and disposal of private information. So they want to know this tracking all along the whole way of where it happened. And keep that in mind, that all along the whole way thing, because we're going to loop back to that theme in a little bit. So this is the 5+1 anomaly indicators that the UEBA is looking for. I say 5+1 because usually it was 5, and then we sort of added 1 as we've entered the modern world here. The first is the user. Who is doing this? Machine, which device are they using? Application, which programs did this happen in? Activity, what did they do? Resource, what did they do to it? And then network, did any of this happen over the network? So the first 5 are the normal 5+1 at the end because everything is over the network these days. So how does that trip? Well, user and machine determines the relevant UEBA profile. So the UEBA says, hey, all right, this is Mike. Mike is logged on to his usual PC. Mike is typing as Mike usually types. Okay, we're totally fine there. Next comes your application and resource. This determines the relevant policies. Based on those relevant policies, we look at each action and we determine if there should be an alert or not. If a policy has been violated, we make an alert. And that alert bubbles up to someone who's presumably going to fix the problem. And then they're going to review the forensics to find ways to make sure it doesn't happen again, whether it be some kind of breach that happened, whether it be maybe someone maliciously transferring stuff out and it's time to fire them. Whatever we're looking for, you get the picture. So let's see it in action with my normal humorous little icons. So I'm a fish. I get hooked into scams really easily. I'm a scammer who was going to gut this fish using malware I slept into his device. And by gut, I mean, CNC remotely, whatever's on there, to exfiltrate some data. Look at those nice record-filled guts ready for me to exfiltrate. HR records? Yes, please. And then in the background, the admin is saying, he doesn't even see the UEBA behind the curtain. So what would happen in this case? This is just a real quick overview of Ford Insight here. We've put a rule in there called HR data access, which is unauthorized access of staff files. We've labeled in the category restricted data, done it pursuant to GDPR framework. So if a user who's not supposed to be in the HR data access file starts getting into that data, that's going to trip an alert for us. How does that look on the inside? So user machine, that checked out okay if the fish was on the right machine. Application and resource, application was fine, but resource was wrong. So there's an alert that goes to the system administrator that says, hey, this person's accessing the wrong resource. And then the problem is remediated through whatever other technologies are in the network. And then at the end, they do some forensics to determine how this happened and how to keep it from happening again across the whole security system. And it also gives you an audit trail for those things they're going to require, saying this is the process of what happened, this is how data got out, this is how we're remediated, this is how we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. And in Ford Insight, obviously I'm the Fortinet guy if I didn't say that already, Ford Insight, it's cool. It's a timeline of drill downable events for a labeled activity of what happened. Here you can see we've got some policy alerts, regular alerts, event activities. You can click on each of these and break down, and if you export this, you got yourself a nice sheet you can show to the authorities, whoever it is that needs to know. In which case, guess what? The knife's going to run because it's UEBA to the rescue. So, call to action. You might be saying, wait, Mike, this was short. Well, the last couple 10 minutes have been running over, so I took those 10 minutes, subtracted off this one. Thank you. I'm giving you a couple minutes back in your day, as almost everybody says these days. Call to action is protect you and your customers' data with UEBA. Now, there is no silver bullet, one-size-fits-all solution to protect all of your data. It's like pieces of a puzzle or layers of an onion. There's always things fitting together to try to block all the holes and cover each other up to make it that much harder to get any data out. However, this is a piece that's going to become more and more prominent the more we emphasize personally identifiable information and private data and those things moving around a network. And as that stuff becomes more valuable as the general sources start to dry up by people wising up. So, you want more information, you want to talk about it, need anything, feel free to drop me an email or drop me a phone call at my work number there. Any questions? And thank you very much, and you folks, y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching.